made it to QuiroHustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, QuiroHealth USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 332 of the QuiroHealth Podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Carlos Zayas, and if you want to know where the future of chiropractic lies, it's in Latin America. Welcome back. This is another episode of the QuiroHealth Podcast. Today it's 332, and we have Dr. Carlos Zayas here with us today. Such an honor. I know we've been working really hard to get him onto the show for almost 6 months, and here's the day, and I'm really excited for this day. And before we get into this episode of the QuiroHealth Podcast, I just want to set some ground rules for people and let people know why we do what we do and the essence of it. And the big idea is we protect free speech in chiropractic. It's a big job. And we do support subluxation-based chiropractic and innate intelligence and the tenets of the historical references within the chiropractic profession. And we also support and protect the sacred trust. If you guys don't know what that is, go ahead and go Google that, because that's a big thing. And that's one of the things that chiropractic was doing for a long, long time, getting people chiropractic service. So with that said, Dr. Carlos, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I am so sorry that it took us this long, but we're going to make it worthwhile.
Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it, man. And one of the things that I really, really believe that so many times people need to hear the story. What is chiropractic? And we could say it to a million people, but you know, the idea of chiropractic in your head is much different than the idea of chiropractic in my head, and the idea of chiropractic for somebody that might be watching. It could be your friends, it could be your family, it could be your colleagues, it could be your patient base, it could be the people you coach. They're all going to learn a different snapshot of life from you today based on our interview. So our first question we always like to ask is your story. And,
wow.
You know, you tell your chiropractic story of how you got into the profession and maybe some of the things that you're working on today.
Well, I'll try to make it as short as possible. It's quite convoluted. I had never heard, this is Puerto Rico, 1990. At the time, there were probably 5 or 6 chiropractors in the island. 10 at the most. I know that now. I didn't know then because I had never heard the word chiropractic. I'm talking to a friend of mine that was going to school in the United States, and in the conversation, he tells me, "You need to become a chiropractor." And I'll tell him, "A chiro what?" He said, "A chiropractor." And I'm like, "What's a chiropractor?" And he tells me, "Dude, I don't know what a chiropractor is, but here in Wisconsin, everybody goes to the chiropractor." You know, that was that. He couldn't tell me what chiropractic was. So I hang up. This is a payphone. I hang up the payphone. I go across to go to the orientation office of my college to look at. I was planning to become a dentist, so I was looking at dental schools in the Barron's book of colleges, which at the time was one book divided in 2 parts that were this thick, and all the schools in the United States were listed there. And as I'm opening the book for the D for dentistry, before the D for dentistry, there's the CH for chiropractic. So I heard chiropractic for the first time, didn't know what chiropractic was. I read the word chiropractic now for the first time, still don't know what chiropractic is, where I'm very curious. I thought this was like a message sent from heaven. You know, what is this? So I write to the schools. I get information. In one of the information packages, I'm invited to visit Life School of Chiropractic. It was not even a college then. And I went to visit the school, not knowing what chiropractic was. The person that receives me to give me the tour gave me back then what I call the architectural tour, because he just showed me the buildings. He didn't tell me anything about, zero about chiropractic, zero. He just told me, this is the building of the president, this is the library, this is the lab, the section lab, and the biochem lab. End of the tour. I go to the cafeteria of the school to kill time and eat on something. I meet this guy from Sweden called Bruno Wildhaber, and we agreed to have dinner that night. And over dinner, he asked me, "So, Carlos, how did you get into chiropractic?" And I tell him what I just told you. And he tells me, "So you don't know anything about chiropractic?" I'm like, "No, you mean nothing?" I'm like, "Nothing. Can I explain it to you?" And I said, "Of course." And he tells me, "Dude, chiropractors understand that there's a universal intelligence that rules every little thing in the universe. When that universal intelligence is expressed in the human body, we call it innate intelligence, and it's what keeps you alive and healthy. Innate intelligence flows through your nervous system, from your brain down your spine, through your nerves to every cell, tissue, and organ of your body. And if any bone in your spine misaligns," and when he said that, I saw the whole picture. I saw the whole future in front of me right there. Of course, he explained subluxation and he explained adjustment, but my brain was working 2 steps ahead of him. My brain was just figuring it out. I was so ready. I was so ready for that information at that point in life, that I would say that it answered deep personal questions. It answered religious questions. It answered many, many questions. Just that simple 30-second thought that he shared with me on that table. Next day, I signed up for chiropractic school, and here I am talking to one of the most influential men in chiropractic, Jim Chester, 30 years later.
Wow.
And
well,
so
I appreciate the accolades, by the way.
Well deserved.
So fast forward to today, what are some things that you would say make you unique or different in the chiropractic world? How are you different from maybe the chiropractor down the street?
I don't know. I don't think I am the only person that has this drive, ability, or gift. But I think one of the things that makes me different from most is my ability to teach. I am a teacher. I love teaching. I strongly believe people learn when I teach. I actually my ability to learn comes from my hunger to teach. When I'm learning something new, as I learn it, I see myself teaching it. I say this to be funny, but don't tell anybody it's true. I can read a book one day and the next day teach a 3-day seminar. That's what I do best.
Yeah, that's really impressive, and I know that there's a project that you've done with I don't want to say it wrong, but chiropractico.com.
Perfect. Chiropractico.com. My baby.
Let's shine a big spotlight on the project and how you're helping people with it.
Wow. Chiropractico.com the concept was born in 1995, 1996, when I had the vision to purchase the domain chiropractico.com, which translates in English to chiropractor.com. Since then, I saw clearly what we're doing today, but it did not exist because social media did not exist at the time. Email marketing did not exist at the time. There are so many things that through the years have been developed to make that vision possible today. And chiropractico.com is a public awareness, chiropractic information diffusion service, marketing and promotion system, pointing at the potential Spanish-speaking chiropractic patient. This is not for Spanish-speaking chiropractors only. This is for Spanish-speaking patients. So if you're an English-speaking chiropractic located in Colorado and you like to attract Spanish-speaking patients into your office, chiropracticocom is a place to go to. We are education-based. Our goal is of course we run promotions, but we run promotions as a third or fourth level of our efforts. Or primary first, two, and three levels are all education and attraction of patients. There are other services in our niche that are promotion based. It's just promotion, discount. That is exactly what we don't do as a primary line of approach. We have professional quality content that we create to educate the community and to attract them and guide them to our clients' clinics or offices.
I love the distinction of what you are and what you aren't. And I
Mhm.
think it's very important to have clarity with that as a delivery model. And of the Spanish speaking world, I think it's also something really cool to touch on is you've had a chance to see firsthand the development of the Spanish population, the Spanish speaking population of chiropractors too, which I
Yes.
think is a really cool thing when you are the teacher and the instructor. How have you seen the Spanish speaking chiropractic groups expanding and growing and serving more people?
I'm amazed. Every day I'm more amazed, Jim. Um, as this is very interesting, culturally and professionally interesting. Probably you, being from the U.S. and being English speaking, see me as Latin American. My colleagues and friends from Latin America might see me as an American because being a Puerto Rican, the Puerto Rican is right on that middle line between Latin America, Spanish speaking, Spanish culture, and the U.S. side of things. Being a chiropractor that was prepared in the United States through Life School of Chiropractic at that time, Life University, and practicing in Puerto Rico, my outlook in chiropractic is primarily U.S. based. So when I first got a look at what was going on in Latin America chiropractic, I am in shock at the speed that it grows, the quality of the chiropractors that I see in these countries. It is truly amazing, and you know that firsthand. I know you visited Mexico several times, and you know the chiropractic group over there, and it's just amazing. I think some years ago, and I'll freely say this, I was at a even though my first language is Spanish, 100% of my chiropractic experience up to this point has been in English. I went to school in the United States, came to Puerto Rico to practice in Spanish, but every CE credit that I took for the first 15 years was in English because CE instructors are from the US. So the first time that I went to a chiropractic event, vitalistic or straight chiropractic event, was in Argentina. It's called Chiropractic Eficaz, put together by chiropractor Alejandro Turelli, my friend Alejandro Turelli, and his group, his team with Cristian Drueta and Tomás Muñoz. And it was the first time that I was at a great event that was purely in Spanish. And I was enjoying it, deeply enjoying at a personal and emotional level the whole event, just to be surrounded by chiropractic in Spanish and straight chiropractic, vitalistic chiropractic, motivated people. It was just an amazing event. And all of a sudden, I hear a voice over my shoulder that says, Carlos, you know what? The future of chiropractic in the world lies in Latin America. And when I looked up and around, it was Dr. Jorge Campos, another one of my dear friends from Chile. And I guess goosebumps as I see that. And I truly see that. I am not an expert in European chiropractic. I haven't had the opportunity to go to that side of the world. I would love to. But what's going on in Latin America is just amazing and beautiful.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, QuiroHealth USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Yeah, and I know, like you said, firsthand, I've seen the transitions down in Mexico specifically, and that's why we started QuiroHustle Espanol with Miguel Guevara, because I saw that there was a huge necessity for positive programming featuring the Spanish-speaking chiropractor and featuring them and giving them the opportunity to be recognized and to be able to share that story and to get it into the households and on the iPods and iPads and the streaming platforms, to where more people that were in the chiropractic space are building influence within this nucleus of, I think it is a renaissance. And I do think it is the golden age for what chiropractic is doing in the Spanish-speaking countries.
You know, one thing that I think it's beautiful that to see in Latin America, and of course, chiropractic is composed of human beings, and if there are human beings involved, there are going to be flaws, and there's going to be divisions, and there's but each chiropractic is different legally in each country of Latin America that I've gotten to know. Yet straight chiropractic is straight chiropractic. and I think that's what is beautiful to see, that uniqueness being defined through these countries, and some of the chiropractors that are subluxation based they speak the same language, and they're so committed. Right now I'm participating of the ACP program from Sherman. That's a Academy of Chiropractic Philosophers, and they had it in Chile with a group of 20 or 30. Now they're having it in Mexico with a group of 30 of Chile, 20 or 30. And that's just the seeds of what's coming out of these countries. And I hope the Sherman continues to do a great work with the ACP program. I think that's something I think the ACP program is something every chiropractor should be required to take before graduating from chiropractic school, maybe before they go into chiropractic school. No doubt.
So, in your experience, what have you found to be the most effective way to get new patients into your office?
Wow. That strikes a chord, because today is digital. The game is the digital game. Now Chiropracticocom is a fully digital system, of course, through social media, Google, YouTube, and all these components. Yet because I'm from the old school, I am keenly aware that it's not everything. The digital marketing is, again, one indispensable part of a balanced and diversified new system attraction. I was brought up in screenings like Jim. I know Jim loves screenings. We saw 0 patients during my first year of practice. My first coach, he told me, I love to teach you, but I cannot teach you anything unless you bring a new patient into this place. And he taught me how to do my first screening. And we haven't stopped since. We've done at least a minimum of 10 major organized screenings a year for 27 years, except the year and a half or 2 years now with the COVID. Right now, actually, before this call, I was talking to the main shopping center here in Puerto Rico to organize the next screening. To me, I think screenings are the holy grail of chiropractic new patient attraction. I strongly believe that for most people that it doesn't work is that they just haven't learned it from the right person, and they haven't implemented it correctly. Uh, I know screenings have been going on for many decades in the United States, and maybe they're not as good in the United States as they are in Latin America. But Latin America and Puerto Rico is totally virgin as it relates to screenings. So when you do a screening, no one has seen one done before, and we are able to make an impact on the community. So, and if you are good in screenings, you are good in any other promotion. If you're good in screenings, you're good in door knocking. If you're good in screenings, you're good at requesting referrals within your practice. If you're good in screenings, you're good at doing your dinner talk. It is the I think it's the base upon what everything else is built. I'm gonna say I love screens for that reasons, not only because of how effective they are, particularly in Latin America, but because of how well they groom the chiropractor to become an influencer, to become a good communicator. And I also love the dinner talks, my friend. I love the dinner talks. But the dinner talk can be a little more sophisticated in terms of what needs to happen in what order for it to have results. We've seen people lose money down the drain with dinner talks, and we've taught them our dinner talk systems, and they are transformed in the amount of people that are able to attract into their offices from directly from the dinner talk, and even those that were not at the dinner talk. So to me, it's screenings done right, dinner talks done right, and today good education-based digital marketing, and that's on the outside. On the inside, of course, is referrals and inside events that should be done automatically in every office. Not everybody does them or knows how to do them, but they should be done.
I love that you talk about the fundamentals of marketing and the fundamentals of communication. I think that's without any question so important for all chiropractors to understand, even if they've been doing it for 20 years. You have to understand the strategic alignment of old school marketing, and you have to understand where the puck is going, as a Wayne Gretzky analogy quote is. You also have to understand new school marketing, which is the way things go, but you can't just rely on one discipline. I think that you have to have, like you said, a layer system. Teach people to do screenings, teach people to do dinner with the doc, teach people to do referral based marketing,
Yes,
people how to do the
yes,
digital arena, all aspects of the digital arena. So you have to throw the line out in all different ponds: the
yeah,
YouTube, the Google, the Facebook, the Instagram, the LinkedIn. You have to constantly be sourcing these different platforms because that's where people hang out. So I think you also have to go, where's local, and how can I inspire people to move to take action of their health,
yeah,
and how do I get a different platform and get an audience to appreciate the message of chiropractic. So it's not only the influence that you have with explaining it through the talks, but it's the meeting people in public and getting to know their
yeah.
families, and it's the relying on another vertical, which is the digital aspect,
Let
which
me let me. I'd like to add something.
Mhm.
The I want to make sure I say this correctly. Uh, we record content for chiropracticocom, and often my mother was seeing it the other day. I was showing her the recordings, and she said, "How do you get in front of a camera and say something that coherent?" And I tell her, "Mom, you know how many thousands of times I had to say it one on one at the shopping center? You want to learn how to talk chiropractic in a concise, coherent, a quick way? Go to the mall and talk to 100 people in one day, and you get really good at it. And I'm sure if you've never done it or you're not inclined to that it might be a little scary. Done correctly and taken by the hand, like somebody like Jim that can. I'm sure you teach how to do this, right, Jim?
Yeah, it's something that it's just a passion of me to
Yeah.
go out there and to help people with their skill sets. But I think that the well's deep, and I think that the like you said, the more chances that people have the right uh, coaching.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes coaching is misconstrued because sometimes people just they do things to um, make money rather than actually give service.
Yeah.
And I would give my system away for free if people wanted to use it. And I think that that's the real thing is it's not about how much we make for influence. It's about how people take the influence we provide and actually go make for themselves.
Yes, yes. I think every chiropractor that has been in business for more than a year knows that what I'm about to say is a law. It's not a rule. It's not a theory. It's a law. If you want to help, if you want to help people, and you have 100 people in front of you to help, and you charge for your services, you will help. You will help 80 of them. If you give your services for free to the 100 group, you're only going to help 20.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a service provider, as a teacher, as an instructor, as a coach, it is your duty to charge for your services in order to help and influence the most amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a law. Of course, there are instances in which you're going to have to willingly help people for free because maybe that's the only way you're going to be able to help them. But that's probably 20% of the time. 80% of the time is the other way around. I make a distinction. I took a formal certification course in coaching through International Coaching Federation, and they make a distinction between a coach and a consultant. And they taught me at the time that a coach is somebody that helps you achieve what you already know how to but have not done. A consultant is somebody that comes to teach you what you don't know to do. I'm a coach. I've coached people for years, but I'm a consultant. I love to just teach people that don't know how to do this, how to do it correctly from the first time. Once they know how to do it and then they have a hard time implementing it, then the coaching comes in. Today, the word coaching is used so freely that we don't even know what it means. But that was a distinction that was brought up during that course. Um, and why I just I've had a I've had a consultant or a coach under contract since the end of my first year in practice, and I've been in practice for 27 years or 26 years. I have a consultant. I have one today. He's not in the chiropractic arena. He's in the marketing and sales arena. But I just hate to reinvent the wheel. I just love paying for knowledge. If I can pay someone a reasonable fee for their knowledge and have them teach me what they know and me implementing it in one day, what will take me 5 years to implement by myself. I mean, to me, it's a no brainer. But and I've seen it because I'm a consultant, I'm a coach, and I've seen people that are just sometimes it's just out of pride. They need that satisfaction of reinventing the wheel themselves. I don't think that advanced chiropractic. I think the millenary thought of standing in the shoulder of giants comes from learning from others. If you reinvent the wheel, you're not standing in the shoulders of anybody to help take the profession to the next level.
Well, we are almost at the edge of our time together, Carlos. So maybe you could send us off with a miracle story that
Wow.
you've had in your office. The number one miracle story that
I think wow. Let me think. I want to share with you a story that will wrap what we've been talking about.
okay.
And I got it. I must have been in practice 5 years. At this point, we were rather busy. At this point, we have been doing screenings for 4 years, and we were going crazy with the screenings at the time. We were just looking for opportunities. I've already had opportunities to speak in public, and the first opportunity to speak on the radio comes up, and it was one of the primary AM radio shows. You know what AM is? At the time, AM radio was big, particularly in the talk. All talk shows were on AM, and this was a really good talk show that I got invited to participate. And my first time on the radio, I was not only confident, I was probably a little overconfident at that point in time. And we talk chiropractic with the moderator of the show, and she opens the phone lines for the audience to call in. The first phone call that I get from an audience is from a lady, and she sounded like this. Please, come save me. My daughters have me drugged in a bed and won't let me leave the house. I literally went like this. I pushed the executive chair that I was sitting on backwards, and I leaned against the wall like this, looking at the moderator of the show. Luckily, she was a person with a lot of experience and saved me. And she's the one that takes care of the lady on the radio and tells her, I think your situation is one very delicate that need to be addressed outside of the air. The director of the program is going to pick up the phone and he's going to talk to you and get your personal information. And Dr. Celes is going to call you personally after the show. I didn't have to deal with that on the air. I called her afterwards. Her name was Nidia. And just as she sounded on the radio, sounded on the phone. She was drugged. She was totally out of it, begging for help because of her low back pain. She was in bed, and all her daughters will do for her will be pumping her with medicines. And she was so drugged, could not leave the house. She made an appointment. She talked to the daughters. The daughters reluctantly brought her in, and she got evaluated. She was a subluxation patient. She got her report of findings. She began care, got adjusted. And within the first or second visit, most likely 80% of her symptoms went away. And the first visit, she was reporting that she had left all medication. And by the end of the week, the lady that came in had nothing to do with the lady that I spoke on the phone the first day. This is a bedridden person that is drugged with pain medication. And all of a sudden, I see a lady that is standing up straight, smiling, talking clearly. They were two different human beings. Mm-hmm. And I share that story because I think it goes to the core of our ability to communicate subluxation-based chiropractic, or ability to go out and willingness to go out into the community and talk to people. Without a doubt, what still drives me to leave the house or leave the office and go talk to people about chiropractic is that I know that today there's somebody suffering or dying because they don't know what we know. Mm-hmm. And the media is not going to tell them. The radio is not going to tell them. The TV is not going to tell them. If it's not us chiropractors, it's not going to be anybody. And it's our professional and moral duty to share what we know with the public.
Well, Dr. Carlos, I the story is so powerful because I've always heard, not always, but as I started to learn more about chiropractic, I learned that chiropractors actually save lives.
Yes.
And I didn't understand that. And I'm sure that there's people listening to the program now that will listen to it in the future that they'll be like, chiropractors save lives. Yes. That's the thing is people don't understand. Like, it's not like putting a tourniquet on people and like doing like CPR on people. It's about removing the subluxation with people. And that's the difference. And it's not about this intervention that you put on like an inoculation into somebody. It's I took something and corrected it within the nervous system with my hands and my analysis thing. So that's the big idea around what you were just sharing with people is
Yes.
the miracle story is chiropractic, and it's always chiropractic, and it will be chiropractic.
And chiropractic can change lives primarily, and this is what we need to do to analyze and adjust people, but only the chiropractic message can change lives. You know, you can hear the chiropractic story, the chiropractic message, and not get adjusted, and it can make a difference in the way you see your health and your outlook on life. Of course, if you go to the chiropractor, you get checked and you get adjusted, then we have the whole image, the whole picture.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up today's episode. Dr. Carlos, thank you so much for being our guest today after many attempts. Glad to finally have you on. The website is chiropractica.com. Are there any other websites, Facebook pages?
You can look me up, like my name, Carlos Celes. I'm on Facebook. It's probably my primary means of communication. I'm always approachable through Messenger. And chiropractico.com is basically chiropractor in Spanish. So if you don't know how to spell it, look up chiropractor, translate it to Spanish. I mean, chiropractic. No, chiropractor. Chiropractor in English is chiropractico in Spanish.com, and that's our site. And it's free to have your office listed in chiropractico.com. If you are a U.S. licensed chiropractor, just go in, click in, we'll have you listed for free. If you are outside of the United States, it's the same thing, where we just make sure we verify your credentials to make sure that you have a proper chiropractic education. If you're listed in any country in chiropractico.com, it means that we looked and verified your credentials before you were listed. So that's our promise to the public.
Well,
Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Carlos, for sharing with us today. We've been at the pyramids together. We've been in Old San Juan together, and I look forward to our next adventure, wherever that may take us.
Yes.
And inspired by chiropractic and the big idea. Thank you for being our guest today. This is episode 332 of the QuiroHustle podcast. And we want you to have a great rest of your day, Dr. Carlos. And we'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. My friends, thank you so much. Always at your service. Be well.
Right. Bye for now.
Next time.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.